it is quite a prevalent condition, spinal issues, especially low back. So in the whole population, it's at 80%, which is massive, right?
Yeah.
It was
80%
will be experiencing some sort of chronic low back issue. It's crazy.
Isn't it?
But the thing is that what I'm noticing in the clinic is that people are getting younger and younger.
Okay, welcome back to The Body Behind the Mastery, the show where we explore the physical discipline, recovery rituals, and movement practices of world-class performers, from elite athletes to master artisans and health professionals. I'm your host, Mark, a physiotherapist passionate about helping people move better, recover faster, and live pain-free. Now, today we're diving into a topic that affects nearly everyone at some point: spinal health. Whether it's back tension from hours at the desk or that dull ache in your lower back after sitting for too long, our spines carry the weight of our modern lives, quite literally. So joining me is Dr. Paula. Can I call you Dr. Paula?
Yeah, a chiropractor.
Paula, a chiropractor, educator, and clinic owner who specializes in spinal care and posture correction. She's the owner of My Back Relief Clinic and a senior supervisor at Macquarie University, the chiropractic clinic. Paula, how are you today? Thank you for joining me.
I'm great, thanks. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me on your show.
So now, let's start with the big picture. Between your chiropractic experience and what I see as a physio, spinal issues is so prevalent. It is more and more common, especially in these days where people are using their social media, using their mobile phones more, using like AI, using computers more, the effects on their sitting posture. Do you see that in your clinic right now? Do you see that prevalence?
I think it is quite a prevalent condition, spinal issues, especially low back. So in the whole population, it's at 80%. Which is massive, right?
Yeah.
It was
80%
will be experiencing some sort of chronic low back issue. It's
crazy. Isn't it?
But the thing is that what I'm noticing in the clinic is that people are getting younger and younger and seeking help.
Yes.
And I think it's because of a lot of lifestyle things that we've added since COVID.
Yes.
So obviously schools are more tech based these days. More laptops, more iPads, and it's just the norm.
Yes.
And although it's the norm for our everyday, sometimes it's not the norm for our spinal function. And it's starting to show up in the younger population, I think. Yeah.
And what's the youngest age group, or the younger age group? What age are you talking about?
So we're starting to have a lot of our patients get really concerned about their kids' postures at the age of 9. But I think they probably are more concerned about it even before then. It's just by 9, a lot of them are starting to ask for help for it. So they probably have noticed that their kids are hunching over the screens, and they just don't want their kids to go through the same pain that they potentially went through as well. So we're seeing a rise in parents being more proactive, which is great.
Yeah.
But we're also seeing kids that are starting to suffer with back pain at an earlier age, just anecdotally.
That is so interesting, because in our physiotherapy clinic, we're definitely seeing the same trend, which is somehow worrying, but like the frustrating thing is that the norm these days. My son's at school and they use iPads for work now, whereas they don't used to do that previously. And I can see that he has neck tension build up. He actually complains about a bit of aches and pains after using iPad at school. And like that's something that... Yeah, I'm just thinking back to my childhood. It's like, we never used to do that. Hey,
like I grew up where there wasn't any computers at school, and it was normal to play games during the holidays. And we had one computer for the whole school of 120, and at the library, out of reach from everyone. And last week, my son's in year 2, and we got a letter saying, oh, for next year he has to have his home device ready. So. We are just introducing it, and the last couple of years it's just less activity potentially, and they've just gotten used to it. So I always think there's something that's normal, but normal doesn't always equate to healthy, or what's normal for what your body's supposed to be functioning for.
So let's talk about the symptoms that you're seeing. So what are these people? What's the typical symptom that they complain of from this younger population?
So these younger populations, they're under a lot more stress. So their parents are more concerned about their posture, which is not necessarily a symptom, more a sign.
Yeah.
Sign is something that someone can see, but you don't necessarily feel.
It does look bad.
Yeah, and it looks, they have poor posture, and they're starting to notice it in their photos. But I will have kids coming up saying, hey, Dr. Paula, my back was hurting, or oh, I've got a headache.
Yeah, kids getting
headaches. And which is also concerning, because I don't think any headache is normal.
Especially for kids. I don't remember kids.
100%. And you're starting to see a lot of jaw issues as well along with it. So a forward head carriage is when the head starts to go forward and the posture is starting to get bad. A lot of times does go hand in hand with jaw issues as well.
Yeah, so for our listeners out there, how the jaw is affected by neck is that when you slouch, the jaw actually protracts or moves forwards, and that changes your bite, changes the way we when you talk, like the movement of the jaw joints are all totally changed, and when we eat in the pole posture as well. And when you eat and speak in the wrong way, it puts a lot of strain on the jaw joint, leading to pain. And these pain can manifest as, like from a physio point of view, it can manifest as facial pain, not just the jaw pain. It radiates up into the head, that gives the headache. So that's all really common, isn't it?
And with that forward head posture, that poor posture, you have a lot of pressure at the base of your skull, at the bottom, and that goes hand in hand with jaw issues. So that can also have that radiation of attention cervicogenic, which is a neck type stemming headache.
So and kids are getting that.
So,
and there's a lot that I feel we can do as health practitioners to educate definitely the parents and the kids and give them the proper rehab plan to get them so they can manage 100%. The same workload, because you can't change that anymore, can you?
So we have to accept that technology is part of our life. It is part of my life. It's going to be part of my children's lives.
Yes.
And it's all about trying to figure out what's the healthy strategies to navigate around it, where it is part of our lives, but can we still be healthy during this transition in the world where we are turning more technological.
And I think it's so great. So your work is revolved a lot on this, and looking at like kids, they have these posture problems at such a young age, right? Then if you fast forward that, what is the effect on these children when they get to, let's say, 30s and 40s, or even until they're like 50s, 60s? What kind of things do you expect to see if they're already under this stress at such a young age?
So what I naturally see is if the kids do not move very well as a young age, and this could be that they have pain or not have pain. Some of these kids might not have pain and still have bad posture. But what that ends up doing is that it starts to compress the joints, and it starts to compress the discs in your spine. It starts to irritate the joints around it. That creates inflammation. And what it can do is it can start to trigger off early sorts of arthritic changes.
So early wear and tear.
Yeah, early wear and tear in the spine. And that can be in someone's 20s. I've definitely seen that in someone's 20s. I can see that in someone's 30s, but it's so common here in Australia.
That's young age, hey, to start to have wear and tear happening. Visible,
damages. So in fact, like I do see a lot of x-rays in our clinic, and we do get the privilege of looking at a lot of spines. And the interesting thing is I did see a patient that had almost a perfect spine. And the funny thing was that that person was not brought up here in Australia. They literally just came from overseas. They lived on a farm. They were moving. They didn't have tech around them.
Like the old days.
And they had a great low back. And for me, that just gives me indication of, okay, a lot of what we're dealing with, spinal pain, low back pain, postural things, it's not in our genetics. We're genetically engineered to be really healthy human beings. There's something in our lifestyle that we haven't necessarily figured out the right strategies to navigate. But I think with the right advice, the next generation can grow up healthier than what their parents are right now.
Isn't that interesting that you get a patient like that? Yeah. You can really make that stark contrast between the normal population that we see here in Australia and
what we see from like in farmlands and what we were made to be. What we were made to do. Move all day, exercise, rest when we need to. So Yeah, there's a decent amount of lifestyle.
So let's talk about like what kind of say techniques, or is there any equipment you use to detect? You mentioned X-ray, right? Is there anything else that you use to help you determine someone's posture and their state of being?
Yeah, so X-rays are really helpful in terms of looking at the wear and tear in the inside of the body. But when you're dealing with a younger population, you might not want to X-ray them because there's radiation involved, right? So in our clinic, we like to use an app called a PostureScreen, and that's really helpful because it will show what the ideal posture is and see if you're deviating from that norm. So in a normal posture, if I were to drop a coin from your ear, it should be that the ear is in line with the shoulder, shoulders in line with the hip, hips in line with the knee, knees in line with the ankle. So this PostureScreen, which is a great tool that we use on our initial consults and later down the track with our patients to see their progress, we get to see, are they objectively starting to change their posture? And when someone starts to objectively change their posture to what would be more the norm, where it's all hitting the right line, then they tend to have less pain because there's less pressure on their spine.
Yeah, that's so good. I got introduced to PostureScreen from you when using that in the clinic.
We love it.
Yeah, and I just really like to add to that, like, I really like the objectivity of it. It utilizes AI to determine the points on your body. You mentioned the ear along with the shoulder. So the AI actually determines where those points are. So it's very objective. And the best part is that you can use that to detect early postural changes, like what you said, before symptoms come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because normally people present to physios when there are symptoms. So that's often a bit too late. So using the PostureScreen, you can actually detect problems before it comes, and also you can objectively compare between visits.
And see progression.
Yes.
So it's a very helpful tool to see if there's something that you should be more proactive about. And we just came off school holidays, and a lot of the parents in our clinic like their kids to just get that checkup with the PostureScreen,
holiday period,
which is great. And then we take a picture of their posture, and then the parents use that as a conversation tool to help their kids go, hey, you need to stop being on the iPads as much because they can see it.
Kids are visual, aren't they? And they can see themselves.
Well, if a kid just gets told, fix your posture, very few of them will want to do it. But once they see it, and a lot of people don't actually like the look of a bad posture. It's not attractive to them. Even as a kid, they don't think that it's a great in front of their friends. Cool. And photos. So when they actually get to see it, they can connect to it and actually want to change, because sometimes the motivation's not there if you don't see it as well. But it's such a good tool for prevention of postural issues, but also such a great tool that if you do have pain and postural problems, so low back pain and neck pain, that you can start to see if potentially if treatment's working, if your stretches, what you need to stretch out, what you need to focus on. So it does guide a lot of our treatment as well, and how we advise someone too.
So fantastic. So Dr. Paula, what would you say is, are you able to talk to us about what you see on PostureScreen, that you commonly see on PostureScreen, and how that correlates to their actual symptoms? So for example, if someone has chronic headache, what would show up on the PostureScreen?
Obviously, everyone's very different, very individualized, but as a population, there are some commonalities we sometimes see. So with people we mentioned before, if you have headaches, you could potentially have joint issues. A typical person would have their head forward and their shoulders rolled forward. And what that means is that everything's really under stress. Those joints are under stress, those muscles are under stress. With people with low back problems, they have low back problems with what we call the facets, which are the little joints in the back of in your back. They can have an increased curve in their low back. So almost like they're sticking out their butt too much.
Sway back.
And then, or they could have the opposite, where the back is too flat. So putting too much pressure on the discs in the back, which can irritate the nerves as well. So you could have either. It's just that it deviates from normal. A really common thing that I'm starting to see in posture screens is that as a whole, people are just leaning forward.
That is so much more common these days.
That's very common.
Yeah.
And from what I can see, it's a lot of people that are working at office workers, desk workers. We've obviously gone to a society where we're much more sedentary, and it encourages more sedentary work. So what that means is that our hips and our hip flexors at the front of our body start to tighten up.
Yeah, we see a lot of that.
And then when you stand up, neurologically it thinks, okay, that shortens up. You stand up, you're still leaning forward. And that lean forward still puts extra pressure on your discs, your joints, your nerves, your muscles. And eventually that could lead to the pain that they're feeling.
Yeah.
So just extra stresses on the body.
And just like thinking about our sporting population, if you have the tight hip flexors is a common diagnosis we see. And a lot of it is due to posture. And having tight hip flexors means when you accelerate, it's going to reduce that power. And when you push off, you don't have that range. So it affects almost every sport, and it gives rise to lower back pain when they play sport.
Yeah.
And then after they get that, it radiates down to the knee, the ankle, and it starts to go towards the extremities. That's what we see.
100% that pelvis and that hip mechanics need to be working well, especially in what you said, the explosive sports. You want those big glute muscles to push you back.
Yes.
And if your hip flexors are too tight, those are the opposing muscles, you'll lose the power.
Yeah.
So it won't just affect on one side the spectrum of people that are feeling pain and are symptomatic. It can also affect the spectrum of people that are wanting to optimize their bodies.
It's so amazing how a lot of people think chiro, physios,
we're friends. There's a decent amount of overlap, just a different focus, right? Yeah.
I thought that's really cool. Now, looking at the symptoms, we talked about having the posture, having all the pains. Have you found, because this is what I see in clinic, is that a lot of them there is a related stress component to the body as well. When people are like sitting more or working more, people are more stressed these days compared to say 10, 20 years ago. Have you seen many of those rise, increased tension in people, and how that relates to posture?
100%. So in our clinic, we teach the 3 T's to all our patients. So 3 T's are the 3 stresses that your body is subject to. There's no other stresses in the world except for these 3 T's. So thoughts, toxins, and traumas.
Oh, thoughts, toxins,
and
trauma.
traumas. If you were to ever look at anything going wrong in your body, I always teach my patients, if you were having a really good day and all of a sudden you feel pain, then look towards those 3 T's. Was a thought issue, toxin issue, or a trauma issue? So I can pack a little bit of each 3 just so people can understand. So if it's, say, thoughts, if you've ever experienced stressful thoughts, what that does is that can put your body into almost that fight or flight response, that high sympathetic, high fight or flight, or freeze. And a natural response to a fight or flight response is that you want to run away, or you want to punch someone, or you're just freezing, right? Yeah. So natural look of a posture of someone that is a constant fight or flight, which a lot of people in Australia are, chronically stressed, mentally stressed people, is that you'll see that their head is forward, that their shoulders are rolled forward because they're going to punch someone, that their hip flexors are tight, that they're just leaning forward ready to run.
Yes.
So that would be from the thought point of view. If we're looking at traumas, I like to distinguish 2 different types of traumas. Ones that are big traumas, macro traumas, like a car accident or a sporting injury. Yes. That can definitely affect your posture because it's an impact. Or micro traumas, which is your sitting position. Things that aren't very obvious, but it's your habits, your sleeping habits. Do you sleep on your tummy? Do you sit down all day? Which can inevitably start to affect all the joints and then affect your posture. And then we'll be able to see that in a PostureScreen. And then the last one that can affect people's spine, their pain, is the toxins. So inevitably there's things in the world that we eat that are good for inflammation and things that are bad. So omega-3s, fish oils. I think the last recommendation on decreasing inflammation in the whole body is taking a fatty fish like a salmon at least 3 times a week. And if not, then you supplement with omega-3s.
Yeah, diet can definitely have a big
Yeah.
role to play as well. And that's something we often overlook, isn't it?
Yeah.
The
Well, we're
dietary
we're
component.
physical in the
Yeah.
physical world, so we
Yes.
naturally would veer towards talking to people about their posture, their
Yes.
habits, their sporting injuries. And what we don't want to forget is that this is a whole person.
Yeah.
That as much as we talk about that, that we also
Yeah.
bring to light to patients that sometimes back pains, our neck pains are from thoughts, are from our stresses.
The diet.
Yeah, and
as
from
well.
our diets.
Yeah.
And you're a whole person, and to help someone, you need to start treating people as whole people.
Yeah, I find it easier to visualize. If you can't really visualize how, say, diet affects your pain, if you think about the elite sport, because in physio we deal with that, is that you see elite sports people, they will have a really good diet for their sport. They eat really well, they don't eat the junk food, so they can perform at their best. What happens when they don't is that they are unable to perform.
Exactly.
So very similar, if you take that same model to that lower end of the scale, if you eat the junk foods and don't take your omegas, is that the body stops functioning as well, and that can give rise to problems.
And you almost want to think of your whole life as a sport. So you don't want to just start eating well when you're not feeling great. You want to start to eat. It's almost like toothbrushing. You don't want to just start toothbrushing when you get the cavity, right? You want to keep that healthy habit. And it's the same thing with your posture, with food, with how you think. All aspects of it. The more preventative route is always the best route there.
Yeah. And it's so good that you can actually pick all these up with the postural assessment, of course with the chiropractic assessment, the physio assessment as well, but from a posture screen, you can see those changes and you can give the advice from there. So if you're interested in looking at PostureScreen, check out our YouTube video in the show notes, where they will have a demonstration of what you can actually see in the PostureScreen and what kind of information you can get from there. So that will be really useful. So now we want to talk about the actual management. Yeah. So if you say pick someone, you see someone on PostureScreen, they do have those forward posture. They do have the protracted chin, and they have the back. If there is some abnormalities there, what is the common things that can help those kind of conditions?
Well, from my end, obviously, I'm a chiropractor and you're a physiotherapist. Movement is always king, right?
Movement is...
I'm going to steal that one now. The motion is lotion. I think if you do not move well, then you're not functioning to your fullest capacity.
Yes.
So it's when your joints get restricted, it's when your muscles start to get tight. And what's really important is, obviously, sometimes I see patients come in and they've had chronic issues. They just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Genuinely, they don't know where to start. They're like, I've just been having it for so long. I think it's just part of me.
And for physios, like we see a lot, is that they don't know where to start because it's painful to move. So they just want to get rid of pain. But then, we teach them to look at the longer goal is to get them to move.
To move
normally.
well,
Yes.
So the thing that, to keep someone healthy is movement. And I also think if someone's in pain, the most important thing is to try to get them moving. So the not the cure, but the remedy for a lot of these things is see if we can get this person moving well. And from your end, release those tight muscles.
Yes.
From my end, it might be adjust those really restricted joints.
To get them free up those
To free
joints.
up everything, free up the joints, you'll free up the muscles. From both professions, having really solid advice on pacing a patient so they can move well at their own pace and giving that guidance, but also telling them which muscles are tight. And like I said, the PostureScreen is really good at picking up generally what that might be.
Yes.
But then it's not without a physical assessment where you actually get to, I'm sure as a practitioner, you feel the tight muscles, or you see that those muscles are short. I get to see if those joints are restricted, to tailor that treatment specifically for that patient in front of you. But overall advice would, movement is really important.
Talking about this movement, I want to share with you what I find in physio
Yeah.
is that a lot of these people, especially the stress ones, especially the ones that the stress and the tension starting to affect their sleep. What I found is that, of course, they get the tight hip flexors and things, but the muscle that it always goes, like 90% of the patients that we get have this is the rhomboid muscles. The rhomboids are like, this is where I feel a lot of people project their stress onto. You project the stress onto the muscle, so it shows up in the rhomboids that super, super tight and tender. And a lot of times, like, patients will come in and say they're stressed, they have a headache, and then you just go to that muscle, press, and they're like, oh, I didn't know it's so tight. And then you get that muscle released out, and they get that nice, such good relief, and they feel the blood flow. One of the things they say is that, oh, I feel blood returning back to my head, or my neck, my body. Do you find that there's a lot of, also in chiro, is that a lot of, like, obviously you work in the joints first, but do they refer to all the other places
Different
as well?
Like you, I think there's like definitely common areas
Yeah.
where, like I said, we're all unique, but genetically we all kind of act similarly under stress, right?
Yes.
So for you see the tight rhomboids. I also see
It's like a pressure point.
Yeah, the pressure point, right? And for me, when someone doesn't have really good sleep, I'll see it in the upper cervical, the upper neck joints.
And puffy as well.
Puffy, yeah.
It's always
Solid,
like puffy.
And it can, and those are the ones that it's like, oh, I haven't slept very well. I have a little bit of headaches as well. So they all interchange. So sleep itself is one of those foundational health pillars. So without sleep, it affects all those three stresses that I was talking about. It affects your thoughts. It affects you physically. It potentially affects how well you digest things. So I think with it being a foundational pillar thing, of course, I think we're going to see a lot of tension in the body, because if we look at from its most base level, if you're not getting the rest period, you're in a heightened stress position, you're going to get those tight rhomboids, those tight trapezius muscles going up to your neck. You're going to get those tight sections in your back of your occiput, which is in your skull. So test yourself out. If you're out there, if you have chronic symptoms, or you're wondering whether you're affected by these chronic symptoms, check out, that's the base of your skull. So like even put your thumbs at the base of your skull and just feel, is that a little bit tender there? Might have trouble.
Puffy and tender. If it is, get a PostureScreen. Get that checked out. Yeah, fantastic. That's so fantastic. So, Dr. Paula, to wrap it up, what would be your one advice to people out there who are working a desk job, or for parents who has kids that are using a lot of iPads and mobile phones? What would be your one advice to them that most people don't know or they'll benefit from?
I'm not sure it's things that people don't know. Inherently, I think people actually do know a lot these days. I like to remind people to get up as often as they could. With my son, I put a timer on his device at the 15-20 minute mark. And after that, he has to have that break. He has to look away from the screens. He has to induce that
it's important
movement.
to help them to regulate and teach them about the body.
And then with anyone that's an adult and an office worker, it's that pull between wanting to be productive and not breaking that concentration, and looking after your body and your back. So they've actually done quite a few studies on this, on improving people's production and also inducing movement. And what they found is if you take a break every 50 minutes to an hour, you actually improve your productive levels. So if you want to be productive at work and also be healthy, that's kind of the sweet spot.
It's very interesting. It actually increases productivity. And I would guess that's in the long term, because I can see that in the long term, if you take regular breaks, you're more healthy, and of course it's going to increase your productivity.
Multiple reasons. Healthier, but also your brain needs that stimulation of movement. And 90% of the stimulation to your brain is coming from the movement of the spine. So you're not really working to your fullest capacity mentally without movement.
Yeah, yep. Now, talking about research, I was just reading this paper last week, and they looked at blood flow in the body versus someone in stationary positions. They measured sitting, they measured standing, just stationary positions. And what they found is that at the 20 minutes mark, 20 minutes into a stationary position, you can see blood flow, it just starts to drop. And then at the 20 minutes mark, so 15 to 20 minutes, it starts to drop. But at 20 minutes, it just straight down.
Oh,
and
no.
then it's just low. Of course, it just keeps reducing, but at a much lower pace. But the drop happens at 20 minutes. So the conclusion of that article is about so that means, prolonged sitting, you get decreased blood flow, and over time that creates a lot of different problems. Like you don't get enough oxygen, nutrients to your body, and that's what creates problems, right? But then that's the time that you should get up. That's the limit. Yeah. And I'm just thinking 20 minutes. Everyone works more than 20 minutes.
Exactly. Even from our studies with, it's interesting that blood flow, it's the 15-20 minute mark.
Yeah.
All the studies with joints and overstretching ligaments happens at the 15-20 minute mark. And that's even in the healthy joints. So if I were to be a true practitioner, I would say 15 to 20 minutes.
Yes.
If we're looking at the research of trying to combine the two of productivity and also trying to be healthy, that's where it's going closer to an hour. But if I were to truly be, this is the most optimal, it would be...
an athlete, 15 minutes. Sharp. You can't afford to have any decrease in blood flow.
I think that's so interesting with the arteries, because it matches so well with the ligaments as well. And it's almost like your whole body is telling you need to move. From that stationary position. No one's meant to be sitting down for that long. That's not what we're designed for, right?
Must be linked to the physiology. The 15-20 minutes. There is this common
we need to start researching more on it.
So that's so fantastic. So if you are interested in the chiropractic side of your spine, go check out my back relief clinic. Of Dr.
So we're
Paula.
in Sydney, Inner West.
Yes. And otherwise reach out to us at Dynamic Sport Physio. We're at Casey Ridge, South Brisbane and Salisbury. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much today.
Thank you so much, Mark.
And we'll catch you in the next episode.